there was a huge gap between the voices of South Central and Storm over South Central. We're talking 18 years, right, between the two books, and the genres are different. Even though I close off my poetry with Storm over South Central, which it does have some poems in there, I've also submitted short stories that have been sitting for quite a while, and I wanted to really publish that. In fact, they could have been part of the Voices of South Central, but I wanted to keep it at the one genre, which is poetry, even though at the end of the book, there's the one article I wrote for college about life goes on in South Central LA. So I thought that was appropriate for the book. But Storm over South Central has a blend of poems and short stories. Um, the short stories range from talking about the community to certain people, and all is not doom and gloom. It's also stories, um, morals that we can learn from, such as Sin is In or A Town Called Heaven, um, The Albatross. I think I shared some info with you about a love story that may be tragic, but it's still a good love story, in my opinion. Nevertheless, there's also Father's Day, which talks about a young man excited to see his father who he hasn't seen in a while, and you find out what happens. Do fries go with that snake? That's a funny story that I wrote back in college, but I updated it to kind of show a reality of what's happening in South LA today with businesses. So I hope that if you get a chance to read that, you will. And there's a new piece, new because I didn't write this in college, as far as adding this, as far as the Storm over South Central catalog, is a night, actually, another club, or last night at the club. And that reflects on the past history of South LA, when the clubs like the Dunbar were in operation on Old Central Avenue in the old South Central. So it's still South Central based. And tells a story about a man, homeless man, who somehow goes back in time to this club and encounters a nightclub singer who wants to be bigger than what she is as far as popularity, but they find the club is faced with someone who wants to rob it, just take all the winnings and take all the money and for himself and for his crew. So, Storm over South Central also has interesting poems such as Role Reversal. I love that poem. Um, Poems, social commentary, back to my old social commentary, a little bit of romance, but mainly I try to keep it as close to South Central focus and centered as I can in this book, which I'm glad when I published this book, after that 18-year long hiatus of writing a book, doing other stuff, as you well know, running the book expo and things like that. It was I was finally glad to get my focus back as an author again. It really made the world to me. And this is right in my recovery period for my stroke. Um, I was just out of the hospital 2 years. Actually, I started in 2020 and then finished 2021. So the pandemic, also my recovery of my stroke, and all sorts of things happening, it just helped me to stay focused and really decide to work on the book. And a good shout out to my friend at the Empire Beat magazine, uh, MT. He just told me, hey, take it to this place and they'll publish your work for you. That's what I've done, and every work that I've have finished and completed in the past 5 years has gone to the big A, even though for years I was against the big A. But hey, gotta change sometimes, right? Well, I'm very glad that my journey started off with Storm of South Central. I felt like the completion of a trilogy that I wanted to take care of, which was the Heart of the Man series. And now, starting with that next book the next year, a Relay, which was my first novel, it really helped open up a new era for me as far as being an author. And that's also evident in Strange Tales of Science Fiction, which is another collection of short stories of the science fiction genre. And it's all about fate, a story which I've held for the longest time. Another college written. It was a novella, but it turned into a novel, which I'm very glad it did. And also starting another series that way. So a lot more is happening. Um, of course, life and my story is the reason why I had to delay The World as a Ghetto. Plus, I had to come to a decision about certain changes in the novel, certain characters who I may have mentioned in the past. Changes have been made because it's always in the rough draft. You have to make those changes, and whatever you think is ideal at the time can change just like that. So, The World as a Ghetto is still right on schedule. I am planning to finish it this year. The progress is there, but again, it's all about taking time. And summer hasn't even hit yet, so definitely it's gonna be a good time for me to sit home, stay home, write, and get to work on the book. And I also considered making changes to my social media platforms, this channel, the other channel that I have, and see what can I do to make things better for myself. Because I can do this for about 6 years and nothing changes, even though I'm appreciative of all you folks who decide to subscribe. But I want to think bigger and I want to do things in a big way. So there'll be some changes. Don't know how those changes are going to occur. But at the same time, I feel it's necessary in order for my growth as an author and as a storyteller and a literary architect, as I posted on my website recently. I really feel that these changes will help me become a better author. Plus, it will also expand my reach and my profile to many folks out there. And also, too, I feel that I need to do that because I'm turning another year older, and it's going to be a significant year, and I need to think more significantly about my writing career in my life. So, with that in mind, I do hope that you will take the time, visit my website, or go to the Big A, Amazon, and check out Storm over South Central. I think you enjoy the journey. I think you enjoy the collection of stories and poems, and you will not be disappointed. So I thank each and every one of you hanging around this long to see what I have to say and moving forward, and just trying to see what happens next. So until next time, thank you for your support. Take care.